Hello everyone, Ember Power here. Welcome back to another video. This time we're going to be looking at the upcoming Cramorant. So Cramorant is a bit of a joke in the fact that it relies on a very kind of unconventional strategy of benching a bunch of fish and then pelting them at your opponent. And how you do this is that you line up your bench with Arrokudas and then you discard them to do a lot of damage. So before we get into today's video, I'd just like to quickly mention that I'll be doing a giveaway shortly. This is to celebrate the fact that we hit 65 subscribers recently. Want to say huge thanks to you all. However, because of my performance in recent events online, I was unable to win any packs. However, Vivid Voltage is just around the corner, so I can get packs then and potentially dish them out. So I think that's probably the best way to do it. So going into the deck, it's easy one prizer deck to play. It's pretty cheap, although there is one adjustment you might want to make. It has simple setup, and it has favorable matchups against Eternatus, Centiskorch, and anything less with 240 HP. So Centiskorch should really be a doddle. You don't need many Arrokudas set up, and you can just like power through them. Eternatus is a little bit more difficult, I would say, but that's just because you have to constantly two-shot them. And anything less with 240 HP should be okay. So if you're against another one prize deck, then you shouldn't need to have too many Arrokuda in play, which is always nice. And then some unfavorable matchups are Pikarom because of Tag Bolt. Like, we don't have bench space from you, so you can protect yourself from Tag Bolt GX. And that is how they will sneak ahead in the prize race. In theory, though, if they don't have a Big Charm attached, you can one-shot them. So if my opponent gets like very silly, puts a non-ADP, Pikarom in the active, then you can potentially one-shot them for 240 damage, which is very handy indeed. But then again, it's also, you know, there's a lot of disadvantages to playing against Pikarom. ADP, Alter Creation, dare I say anymore, Luke Metal Zacian is definitely a bit of a problem because of your reduced damage output, meaning you can never really one-hit kill Zacian. Bit of a pain. However, if you manage to take out Luke Metal early on in the game, you could win because you'd be just that bit much further in the prize race, because every card in this deck, which you're about to see, is a one prizer, which is nice. So going into the Pokemon here, we have 4 Cramorant, 4 Arrokuda, 2 Barraskewda, and 4 Jirachi Amazing Rare. So I'm playing Jirachi Amazing Rare over Jirachi Team Up for primarily the reason is Jirachi Team Up needs to play switches and scoop up nets. Jirachi Amazing Rare just needs a U-turn board, and it's good to go. So Jirachi Amazing Rare, in case you haven't seen the card already, just says, once in your turn you may look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one of those cards in your hand, and then the other one back on top of your deck. So why that's good is because you really need to just find things quickly in this deck, and you don't always need to find a trainer, which is key. You need to find energy and Pokemon, so it kind of makes sense that we would just play Jirachi Amazing Rare. Naturally, this card might be really expensive when it comes out, so you could play it with Jirachi Team Up, or alternatively, play it with the new Snorlax that's coming out as well. That could be a good option. But for now, I'm just playing it with Jirachi Amazing Rare. For Arrokuda, the Arrokuda over here, for 1 colorless energy, says search your deck for 2 more Arrokuda and put them on the bench. So if you combine that with Capture Energy, you could in theory get the whole squad out in, you know, just 1 turn going second. Also, Barraskewda for single water energy does 20 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon that has any damage counters on them. So an option here would be maybe tossing a Fion, force the opponent to switch, and then hit them on the bench. This is basically when, you know, you just hit an Eternatus for like 240 damage, they switch to the bench, they promote a new Eternatus or Hoopa, and you're like, yeah, I'm not having that, and then you just hit their bench for 20. It's quite nice. And then, of course, Cramorant himself, for 2 energy or 2 colors, 60 for each Arrokuda you choose to discard. So we have to have Arrokuda all the time. So, for setup, we have the items. We have 4 Quick Ball, 4 Pokemon Communication, 3 Tag Call, 4 Pokemon Catcher, 4 U-Turn Board, 3 Giant Bomb, and 2 Ordinary Rod. So, the reason why we play 4 Quick Ball is just simply just to get out the bench Pokemon. 4 Communication, send in excess Jirachis, because we only really need 1 or 2 the whole game. 3 Tag Call is kind of a backbone of our draw supporters since we can't play Trainers Male in Standard. Pokemon Catcher because, again, we need to be playing specific supporters each turn, if that makes any sense, and not really boss. Like, you could find a way to squeeze in Lieutenant Surgeon Boss, but right now I'm just playing 4 Catcher, also quite a cheap option. 4 U-turn board for that Jirachi Amazing Rare and Arakudas that get stuck in the active. 3 Giant Bomb because a lot of the power creep is kind of good for Cramorant because they will always be hitting for like 180 plus sometimes, so having Giant Bomb is really nice. And then 2 Ordinary Rod, which can just shuffle in excess Cramorants, excess Water Energy, and stuff that we need back in the deck. Then moving on to the supporters, we have 2 Cynthia and Caitlyn. This is just going to be a nice way of drawing through our deck because sometimes you don't want to discard your hand with research, you just want to find things, so that is why we play 2 Cynthia and Caitlyn. 4 research, just because aggro draw is sometimes needed. 2 Guzmahala, again these tag call supporters can be found with the tag call item card itself. And you can just use Guzmahala. We don't play a Stadium, however, but we do play tool cards. We play U-turn board, we play Giant Bomb, and we play Twin Energy and Capture Energy. So that's kind of why Guzmahala is pretty good in this deck. And then we have 4 Nessa. Now I found in testing that you don't need to play a Nessa every single turn. Like, you should be okay, because more often than not, you won't want to discard all 4 Akuda, if that makes sense. So you have 4 Akuda on the bench, you discard 2 of them, you're doing 120. So if you can recycle them next turn with different methods, then such as Ordinary Rod, Communication, then you can comfortably hit 360 and be done with. So Nessa is very powerful in this deck, and one of the other key reasons I like the tag call engine is Cynthia and Caitlyn can pick up Nessa, which is kind of key, as well as just draw 3 more cards. Then for the energy, we have 2 Capture Energy, 4 Water Energy, and 4 Twin. You could try and squeeze in a couple more energy, but I think with combining the fact that both Jirachi, Cynthia, Caitlyn, Research, all the items and supporters really try and help you find energy, and that's why I think it's pretty good. Naturally, you can change this around if you would want more basic Water Energy, maybe even Turbo Patches, but I kind of don't like Turbo Patches in the minute. Got some serious beef with them after Torkoal games. So, just mess around and see what you find suitable with the energy. I personally like Twin Energy. It is worth noting, I originally tried this with Lightning Energy and a Tapu Koko Prism to try and just accelerate 2 Lightning Energy to 2 different Cramorant, but that was like far too inconsistent and clunky, and I just didn't like it. Plus, Lightning Energy means you cannot use Barraskewda, which is why we have to play Water. Thank you for watching. This has been Amber Power. If you enjoy this video, then feel free to like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think of Cramorant, and can he be more than just a meme? Because in testing, it seems pretty